Sean Delmore. I'm the manager here at the skate shop. Skateboarding it's kind of like that's kind of a broad question. It's more so like, some people see it as like a sport or like a activity to do, like kind of health reasons or just exercise. And other people just see it as kind of corny as it is. It's kind of a lifestyle, and people kind of like surround themselves around that. So it really is what you want it to be. It could just be a pastime, or it could be your whole life. Skateboard culture is kind of a culmination of a whole lot of things. It's a lot of, especially in the 90s, there's a lot of influences from like 90s basketball style, especially 90s rap, and then so in the early 2000s it's just started to be like this culmination of like fashion and like movies. Definitely like a lot of skateboarding has a lot of music influences, and also just like it's always just had kind of like the misfit kind of mentality of like people didn't know what else to do with their life and kind of just got into skateboarding. I started skateboarding fairly late. I was probably like, I started doing tricks when I was like maybe like 17. I always had a skateboard growing up. I remember getting one of my first skateboards from this shop in Baltimore called View. But I was just like pushing around and didn't really try to do tricks until I was 17. And until when I moved here, when I was like around 19 or 20, that's when I really started pursuing skateboarding a little more. I mean, I had a lot of influences back home, and like the skate shop down there called Home Base was definitely like a big inspiration. But out here, I went to Temple, so the skate spot it's called Cecil. It's like Cecil and Broad. It's very easy to meet people and also just like skateboard with people and make friends. So that kind of started everything. Yeah, everyone is. I mean, I tell a lot of people too, like, and there's people that are like in their 40s or their 50s and they're like, I can't do tricks or anything like that. So they kind of like get scared to do it. I'm like, it's fun to just push around, or people that don't think they're coordinated enough. I'm like, it's just fun to just push around or take it everywhere you go. And even if you're gonna skate 1 or 2 blocks out of that 10 block radius, it's just fun to just do. I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's like a weird fashion kind of trendy thing. It's always kind of been that way, especially in the 90s, like all the baggy clothes and stuff like that. Right now, it's just kind of, I feel like it's kind of aiming and going towards like the East Coast kind of urban setting and that aesthetics that go with it. That's definitely like the main driving point, I think, skateboarding right now. That's been a lot more prevalent, especially when I was growing up, and even like 5 or 6 years ago, it was mainly just men, or just like people that have been skateboarding their whole life, and a lot more people are getting into it. But it's also like, I think even the last 2 years, I've seen like a lot of people, even a lot of girls or non-men or non-binary or trans people have been coming out. Especially there's a lot of skate brands that are based around like trans people and stuff like that. So it's kind of more acceptable for people to just starting to get into skateboarding. And also like skateboarding was always seen, I think, especially in the early 2000s, kind of as like a nerdy thing. Like, wasn't like, you weren't like a jock, you weren't playing basketball or football, so you were just always going outside after you got out of school and just skateboarding. So it kind of is like, it's easier for people to jump into because it's kind of that weird niche thing that like, I don't know, there's not a huge focus on yourself. I mean, skateboarding is all on yourself, so it's not a team-based thing, it's not like a huge social thing. So that's why people, and also all types of people, get into it. A complete is just grabbing, it's a whole board setup. So it's like the trucks, the wheels, the boards, bearings that go inside the wheels, and just putting it all together. Anyone could do it, it just takes a little practice. And I think once you do it for the first time, you get like a good grasp on it. The hardest part is putting grip tape on. Other than that, it's just bolts and screwdrivers and stuff like that. It's definitely becoming popular again because, as weird as it's to say, I think also like the fashion drives it. A lot of the clothing and those brands, I think a lot of that has to do with it. And also like being in a city, there's so many people that skateboard, whether that's here in Philly or in New York. You're seeing a lot of people just skateboard down the street, or if you go to when I went to Temple, like there's like 20 or 30 people just skateboarding all the time around you. So it's like kind of like, oh, I want to do that. Yeah, it fluctuates for sure. If we're talking about like the pro kind of scene and industry of the skateboarding scene as well, people were getting paid and making a lot of money when skateboarding was really big in the early 2000s, and you had all those X Games, you had all those events and stuff like that. And then it kind of dips. So it always fluctuates, but it's still always going up. But it's just a matter of time, and also just like skateboarding also costs a lot more than it has been. So that has something to do with it. I say when I first started and I was getting into it, I think like pro skaters like Heath Kitchart was like a good one. I think also like more personable like inspirations where like the hometown skate shop I was growing up at, Andy Poe, who was like the owner there, my friends like Brendan Spahn, who was running like the Secret Tape kind of, it was like kind of like he was collecting all these DVDs and VHSs of all skate videos and stuff like that. So like there's more personable things. Yeah, of course. I mean, it's like something, I mean, if you have other things to do, like everyone has hobbies, everyone has a job, they go to school, everything like that. And skateboarding is as much as you want to put into it as possible. It's not a sport where you have to go to practice every 3 weeks. I mean, every 3 days a week, or you have a game or stuff like that. It's kind of what you want to do with it. And as much as you want to skateboard, that's your choice. So yeah, I mean, it's all up to you. And like skateboarding is very personal to you, and it's also, again, very preference based. So it's what you want to make of it.